Hi, my name is Mark Biernath. I'm an estate planning attorney here in the Atlanta area. Recently, Judge Powell of Henry County Probate Court did a presentation for parents on guardianship. And here's some excerpts from that presentation.
I'm Kelly Powell, and I'm the probate judge of Henry County, and so guardianships come through me. You can actually file for guardianship 6 months before they turn 18, which is really good. The law allows that so that you don't have a gap in time, because obviously as a parent you can make legal decisions for them up until they're an adult. But then when they turn 18, legally they can make decisions for themselves unless they have guardianship. In Henry County, it's an easy process. Hopefully it's a smooth, non-confrontational sort of process. But when you come to file, don't be shocked about how much it costs. I just want you to know that, and I'm going to tell you what the cost is for. It's $600 and some odd to file it, but out of that fee, we pay Dr. Anglin for the evaluation. We also appoint for your child/adult, we're going to appoint an attorney to represent them, because we want to make sure that we're protecting their rights as well. We're going to appoint an attorney who's a guardian ad litem. The attorney will call you, might meet with you at court, might meet with you and the child/adult at your home. We will come to court. We'll put on the record what Dr. Anglin's evaluation is, whether he thinks there's a need for guardianship. Now also, in the same petition you file, you can ask for conservatorship, which means you're in charge of taking care of the money for your child. Maybe there's a pending lawsuit where that child might have a possibility of getting a large settlement. Maybe there's an inheritance that's forthcoming. You don't want to just go ahead and have the conservatorship if there's no money other than the money that's coming in disability benefits. With the guardianship, I'm going to evaluate and say, first of all, is there a need for it? Generally speaking, a guardianship takes away their ability to make legal decisions for themselves. I will give you that ability to make decisions for them, but I will encourage them to have a say-so, and encourage you to help give them an opinion and a voice. I can still give them the right to marry if I think that's appropriate. I mean, there are still some rights I can let them have, and we talk about that on an individual basis. Now, the one ability that I usually take away is their ability to contract, because you can imagine scenarios of getting credit card applications in the mail. We don't really want them to have a right to contract with a credit card company. But one thing that guardianship does for you is, if your child is 18 years of age and you do not have guardianship, do you know that if they don't want you to be involved in their IEP meetings, the school has to exclude you? But doctors don't, not only do they don't have to talk to you about their medical care, a lot of them, if they were really following the HIPAA guidelines, they would not share any information with you. If that person is now 18 years old and you don't have some papers in your hand saying that you are the guardian, she doesn't have guardianship of her because she and her husband were worried that they were taking away her rights. Well, and I understand that's a concern, but then you have to look at the other side of, if you don't legally have guardianship, are you going to be able to help them if you need to? So, and what we do when we come to court is we really try to talk about it in terms of, even though we're taking away some rights, we still want that child, that adult, to be very involved in the decision-making process. So don't think about it as to what you're taking away from that person. I would think of it as what you're making sure you're going to be able to legally help them. I know the fee sounds expensive, but hopefully not once you find out what all we pay for out of that money. But then you don't ever have to file for it again. What we're going to ask you to do with the guardianship is, we're going to ask you to give us a yearly report on how they're doing. If you change addresses or phone numbers, just let us know. Now, once you get the guardianship, it's good for anywhere in the state of Georgia. If you get it in Henry County, but you move to Spalding, or say you move to Chatham County, you move to Savannah, it's still good through Henry County. You don't have to transfer it. Now, you can if you want to, but it's still good anywhere in the state of Georgia. Now, if you move outside of Georgia, the other states' laws are going to take effect, and I don't know what all their laws are. But because you have guardianship, it is continuous in nature until somebody brings something back to my attention. And part of that could be they want to change guardians. Then they can file something in my court. It obviously doesn't have to be fancy. They can write it on a sheet of paper, and I'm going to say, okay, let's come back to court and talk about it. Also, if maybe the disability is removed, maybe they're to the point where they can make decisions for themselves and they no longer need a guardian. There's a form to file for that. This is a petition to terminate the guardianship. And we'll come back and talk about that. But the good thing is, it's continuous in nature, unless and until somebody brings something to my attention as to why we need to change it. And all these things that you fill out in my court, it's fine to fill it out by hand. That's what most everybody does. Don't worry about it. It has to be fancy or typed. Well, the law provides that we have to notify the next of kin. We have to go down the list, and if somebody wants to get guardianship of somebody else, we're going to notify some people just in case somebody wants to throw up a red flag. Now, when I do guardianships for anybody, I run criminal histories on everybody. Now, I'm not going to care if you had a bad check charge, if you had a speeding case. You know, obviously, y'all are the parents, and you've been providing excellent care for these kids. So it's not as much your scenario as when I have an elderly person. If I have an elderly person come up and I've got charges of abuse or neglect, or I've got charges of credit card fraud, you know, some financial transaction problems, and you're not related, I'm going to be like, you know, why do you want guardianship and conservatorship of this person? What we're trying to do is make a lot of information available online, and our website was way too hard to remember, so now if you type in Henry County Probate Court.com, it will direct you to our, what is it, co.henry.ga.us. Go to directories, go to courts, go to, ridiculous. So this will take you directly to my site. Talk about conservatorship just a little bit. That is on the same form for guardianship. It's just a one form fill out, and conservatorship is when you want to be in charge of taking care of the money for your child. In most cases, I don't grant conservatorships only because there's no extra money left over at the end of the month anyway. We talked about that. But also, if you do expect to come into some money, you can do the conservatorship, or do y'all know about a special needs trust? Okay. There are special needs trusts, so if your child's going to inherit some money or get a settlement from an automobile accident, you can set up a special needs trust so that that money is set aside, can still be used for the benefit of your child, but doesn't exclude them from being able to qualify for government money.